7 Shameless Overwatch ripoffs. Now, some of them are straight shameless, like do you see this? Do you literally see what's on screen? Is that Tracer? Yeah, that's obviously Tracer. And then some other that's gonna cause some controversy, maybe even some dislikes, but you know what? We're gonna be getting straight into them, starting with the very first one that I want to get out of the way because it may cause some hate, and that is Paladins. Now, Paladins is one of the better, just want to say that out there, one of the better games that still held its own. It used a lot of inspiration and straight up copying from Overwatch to launch off of the ground, but you know, they have kept their own. They have kept their own. Now, everyone knows, and it's been said for a long time, if you couldn't afford Overwatch and you didn't want to spend the cash, you would just play Paladins. And Paladins was considered a near direct copy of Overwatch due to the fact that it wasn't only just a hero shooter, but released on the 16th of September in 2016. The similarities are straight up uncanny. With that being said, the reason I wouldn't put it in the full shameless category quite yet is because it doesn't even have enough similarities to even warrant a lawsuit, right? It's, while obviously very very inspired by Overwatch. I mean, there are some elements that are heartbreaking, like even the way not only the double shotguns, but even the animation here is just yikes. But you know, Shellfire is yet another hero shooter that has some uncanny similarities. Yes, is that mobile Overwatch for Soldier 76? You sure bet it is. You sure bet it is. I mean, Shellfire is literally considered almost a mobile Overwatch, as they are both MOBA FPS games, except Shellfire was the mobile version of it. It had multiple game modes, but the most popular one being a 5v5 mode where they have to capture a point, very similar to Overwatch. It was released on the 26th of November in 2018 and discontinued in March 2023. Literally, it literally just hit the sack. It's gone now, but that's actually kind of crazy. Think of how long it lasted. From 2018 to 2023, this thing held its own. Of course, Overwatch also becoming free to play and very widely accepted across all the consoles is killing off its clones faster than anything else. But even look at the end, like the OG Overwatch 1 end screen, it looks the same. It's insane. After that, we have Lawbreakers. Now, Lawbreakers is a little bit more ambiguous, as it is also a MOBA shooter, and here you can see kind of like Lucio wall riding. They also have a mech that has a very similar feel to D.Va when it comes to flying, but it's more so that the basics of Lawbreaker are near identical to Overwatch, but the biggest difference being the type of gameplay and the artistic direction, right? Overwatch, you need to have a good team to win, whereas in Lawbreakers, a person playing really good could win a game on their own. The game was released on the 8th of August in 2017, but it was shut down in September of 2018 due to the fact that it wasn't attracting a big enough audience to self-sustain itself. But believe it or not, even though it lasted pretty much the shortest lifespan of any game on this list, it's also by far the most different, and I think that's kind of where it falls apart. Sure, you can take inspiration and try to make a MOBA shooter, but I guess when you're copying directly, you're also poaching some of the fan bases that maybe otherwise cannot afford Overwatch or wanted to play on mobile, but that just wasn't the case. The next one is the peak of this video. The reason this video was made, League of Titans. It was a 1-to-1 ripoff. It's not even, I barely need to explain. It was an identical remake to Overwatch. From the heroes to their abilities, everything is 1-to-1. There's very few differences, but regardless, this thing was actually never released, believe it or not. It was a tech demo, and obviously it was actually fear by Blizzard coming down on them, so they backed out. I mean, the UI wasn't even changed. The UI is 1-to-1. And the thing about it is, in China, there's very loose and basically no copyright laws at all, so maybe they thought they could get away with it. But for whatever reason, maybe behind closed doors or for something we'll just never find out, it was a tech demo and then never launched. And I'm kind of glad it wasn't, because when it comes to the word shameless, it doesn't really get... I mean, they just copy-pasted Pharah here. Even the ultimate symbol. It's insane. Yo, the maps look bussin' though. The maps look pretty different, right? At least they got the maps. But next we got Battleborn. Battleborn is also a little bit more ambiguous, but there's some similarities you can catch on almost immediately, in my opinion. Battleborn might have not been a direct copy of Overwatch in a lot of ways, but it was released very close to Overwatch and shares a lot of similar abilities and even hero looks. It was a very easy way to say that it was copied from Overwatch, released on the 3rd of May 2016 and shut down on the 31st in January 2021. And I'm not gonna lie, it's just kind of wild how long a lot of these truly lasted. And some of the gameplay here is just wild. I mean, some of it's literally wild. Now, again, I can't say one-to-one. There's just, I feel inspirations from a lot of different areas. I can see a lot of different games. Like, I feel there's like a little bit of League of Legends inspiration in some of these. Then there's obviously Overwatch inspiration. So I do believe it was merged enough to not be a direct copy. Here it looks like a TF2 inspiration, you know? Like this looks like the tank or the big dude from TF2. So I wouldn't want to say Shameless. It looks like it was a hybrid of a lot of things that released way too close to Overwatch, in the sense of Overwatch dominated and couldn't self-sustain itself in the long term. Now, talking about Team Fortress 2, it's obviously not a shameless copy of Overwatch, but kind of the other way around. It's obvious and clear, and most people already know, and I'm pretty sure even Blizzard said it at one point, I think, don't quote me on that TF2 was heavy inspiration for Overwatch. I mean, just look at Demoman versus Junkrat and quite a few others that we're going to play in the background. But it's one of those things where obviously there's a lot of things separating them, but there's also a lot of things tying them back in. In theory, Team Fortress 2 is obviously not a ripoff, but it's quite the opposite. Overwatch got a lot of inspiration from TF2, and TF2 has mentioned being complimented and appreciated by it. The biggest thing that Overwatch took from TF2 was not only certain character abilities, but the game modes, the objective, you know, moving the payload. It's a lot of reasons that Overwatch we have today. And I think it's one of those nicer things. TF2 is still, I can't say thriving on its own, but it's still got its own community. And funny enough, it's one of those ones where the player base had more beef with each other than the companies themselves. But Modern Combat Versus is yet another, basically, okay, this one is Call of Duty X Overwatch on mobile. First glance, you're probably just saying, yo, why do you put a Call of Duty ripoff in here? It's it's the abilities. It is the abilities that cause this to be a huge copycat. Just let the clip cook, give it a second, and you'll start seeing the resemblance like crazy. It just, like I said, give it a little bit to play here, but absolutely wild. Now, the game itself was actually released on April 12th of 2017, and like I mentioned, more of a Call of Duty game than anything until the abilities begin to play. So I kind of left that first clip pretty raw just to show you. This first one, we're going to scale it up. Okay, recon darts, sure, not a huge deal. Okay, wait, is that invisibility? Okay, invisibility, same idea, not a huge deal. 2 abilities is nothing. Wait, is that a bubble? Wait, is that not even a full bubble? Wait a minute, now things are starting to look kind of similar. Wait, what is that? Wait, is that it's just a poison trip mine, right? That's not a huge deal, but it's kind of getting a little too much, right? Like one after another, that's a lot of abilities in a row. Just a couple abilities makes sense. But again, it's just a poison trap. The speed boost, same idea. It's just a speed boost. How about, wait, was that a recall? Yeah, it was a recall. Now it's a little bit obvious. Sure, shields, poison, speed boosts, okay. But then you surround it with a recall or a blink, and things start adding up very, very quickly for this Call of Duty X Overwatch ripoff. But now make sure to subscribe.